Touchdown in 46 seconds. Punches back. Touchdown.
Well, they really cut down that intro last week. It was legit 2 minutes long. I was here with Turtle, who stepped in some technical difficulties last week, but we're up and running for another College Hoops show. First of the year for my guy Gav on Saturday, February 7th. And the technical issues have been solved. We even have a camera now. Gav, what's going on?
What's going on, man? Yeah, free from the corporate shackles, so don't got to hide anymore. You know, don't got to worry about clients peeking around, see what I'm doing in my free time. So we're good to go. We got one of the last few mega Saturdays of the season, so got to make hay while we still got them.
Yeah, it should be a fun month. It should be a fun day overall. We got a bunch of bets. If you want to join us at RPS, go to runpuresports.com. Use code Steve15 for 15% off your first payment. We do projections for all these slates. I've got them shared here on the screen. We've got these for all the main slates, a bunch of the ancillary slates too. So as we come down the home stretch, you know, the most fun part of the year, make sure and join us. So we got all sports, not just college. But if you do just want college hoops, there is a college basketball only subscription where you'll get my content, Gavin's thoughts, and I think a super valuable Discord channel with a bunch of people. The best college basketball DFS players are all in there. So go ahead and join us for the home stretch. Anything you want to talk about big picture before we go into the slate? You know, we had the awesome UConn St. John's game last night. I'm sure you saw that. Anything stand out from this week or just in general?
Yeah, I mean, you know, now that we have kind of the first month of conference games under the belt, you know, I think we're going to start kind of separating the contenders from the pretenders. A lot of these conferences, especially the Big 12, backloaded the back half of their conference games with a lot of the premier games. So, like, we're going to be seeing some of the best games, which, you know, like the top of the slate today is obviously incredible, a rivalry day. So, yeah, we got a lot of good games coming up in the next month and a half. Oh, yeah, and then postseason play starts.
Yeah, it should be fun. The main slate on DK doesn't have the best games here just because it's the early games of the day, but those are the ones that we have to talk about because that's where the good contests are. But at the end, we'll chat about, you know, the rest of the games of the day and any bets that we have for the remainder of the games. We do have only 8 games on the slate. I've been just fighting with my DK rep for a month and a half now to try to get the Saturday main slates down from 12 games. Thank you, Daniel LaPera, the GOAT. So we only have 8 games, which means that we can talk a little bit more about each one here. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at the noon Eastern window, and then only 2 games at the 1 p.m. So really condensed slate here, Gav. Let's start it off with Arkansas at Mississippi State. Big time news here that we're going to have to get into. Arkansas sitting 25th at Ken Pom, Mississippi State 84th. Tough season for them. He's got it projected Arkansas 84-78. Some big news here. Arkansas likely without DJ Wagner and Knox. Was talking to some Arkansas people before we went live, Gavin. It seems like Knox is definitely out. Wagner not officially out, but likely going to miss this game. What does that mean for the game overall, and what do you think here?
Well, first, you kind of have to understand, you know, both teams, these are ISO-driven, ball screen-driven offenses with a couple of, you know, lead guards. Mississippi State puts it all in the hands of Josh Hubbard and Jaden Epps on the offensive end, for good or for worse. I don't know how Chris Jans has one strand of hair in his head after doing that for 2/3 of his season. But, you know, Arkansas sneakily like the 15th in effective field goal defensive percentage. So it's not like out of the question that Miss State can score here. Mississippi State's also has the fastest defensive average possession length, which basically means that Arkansas is going to get out and run. And we've seen what this team can do when you let them out in the open floor, a la the South Carolina drubbing. In terms of the news, like, you know, it's probably not going to change much in the front court. You're still going to play mostly Ewan Pringle, Brazil, and some combination of, you know, the 80 minutes between the power forward and the center spot. What it really does, like, if both misses, it basically just locks Acuff into full minutes, Malik Thomas into about as close to full minutes as you can get, probably Brazil into full minutes, and it definitely gets Billy Richmond over 30. You might even get him like into the low 30s by the time it's all said and done. So, yeah, Arkansas becomes a good play. I took this game over early yesterday. Money's coming in on the over, so I think the market's kind of agreeing that we could see some points in here in this spot.
Yeah, we just got as we were talking, Wagner and Knox confirmed out per Hofbrau here. So yeah, doing these minutes, we've got 6 guys projected and then 8 minutes for Isaiah Sealy. It's just going to be super condensed. I didn't want to go crazy with the Richmond minutes. We've got him at 32, still projects well. As far as DFS wise, probably playing multiple of these guys. It's also a context of the slate thing, Gav, where we don't have the mega studs on the slate. We don't have Toppin, we don't have Boozer, we don't have Caleb Wilson, guys like that. And as we go through, you'll see that the top end studs, kind of like last night's slate, if you played last night, don't project all that great. So I think we're going to want multiple of these Arkansas guys. Any favorites on this team here, DFS wise?
Yeah, with the lack of premier spend ups, this probably vaults Acuff into the safest of all the spend up plays. But I don't know if he's even that much different than we'll get to a Lamar Wilkerson situation later. Right. But yeah, Acuff is an elite spend up. Brazil, I think, is a really interesting GPP play. He can tend to run hot from the field. Good stocks guy. He puts up rates all across the board. The price is definitely up there, but it's not out of the question that he can 40 in this spot. And then you just, Malik Ewan, Nick Pringle, you probably need the other guy to foul other than who you're playing to really get there.
Do you think they would play any Ewan plus Pringle if Brazil fouls? We've seen plenty of Brazil foul games.
Yeah, that's true. I think the other two. So Pringle and Ewan are more reliant on one of the other fouling versus Brazil doesn't need fouls to get there.
I meant more for those. I meant more if you play Ewan, if Brazil fouls, do you think he could bump up to high 20s minutes here?
Yeah, probably. They'll probably slide Richmond up to the 4 a little bit, and then they probably run a little bit dual big in the first half. So I think it's possible.
Yeah. And then on the Mississippi State side, this team's been a complete disaster, not just in real life, but for daily fantasy purposes. Josh Hubbard hasn't had the best conference season so far. His price is down to 7,800. And then outside of him, Gav, it's been hot hand. It's been, Jan's just trying to find what works. Do you trust anyone on the Mississippi State side in this spot?
I trust Josh Hubbard and Jaden Epps to incur a decent shot volume. Whether they make it or not is another question, but they both got 20 shots up last game against Missouri. Epps hasn't really been getting the low mid 30s role that he had kind of earlier on in the season. But can I interest you in any 3.4K Sean Jones in?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the cheap guys here. McGee, Ballard, Sean Jones, guys like that.
Yeah, I'd much rather take a chance on one of these guys rather than the mid-range guys of a McCord or a Davis Fleming or a Core. But yeah, Sean Jones is, I think, still starting. I'm pretty sure he fouled last game, which was why he got the minute bump or the minute dump. So yeah, you can do worse than 3.4 as a full punt on this slate at home against Arkansas.
Yep. Any last words on this game here?
Not really. If you want to mix in some Jabari McGee and MME instead of Sean Jones, okay, fine.
Yeah. All right, let's go to my alma mater. Virginia Tech at NC State is the next game on the slate. VT 60th at Ken Palm, hovering right around the bubble, it seems like the entire season, off of the home Duke loss where they fought hard but just couldn't get in the fall. NC State sitting 23rd at Ken Palm. They've won 5 in a row here, Gav. Ken Palm's got this game 82-72 NC State. So healthy team total on the NC State side. We had the brief scare with Darian Williams coming into, I think it was the Tuesday slate, with his leg, but he played full minutes, looked good, produced again. What do you think about this game here?
Yeah, it's funny because the Virginia Tech teams of old, with Mike White doing a ton away from the ball, off-ball screening wise, would have been perfect to beat this NC State overloaded pressure defense. But with how ball screen centric they become with Neo coming over this year compared to any years prior, it's a much worse situation for them to be set up. NC State's going to ice every ball screen. Neo's clearly working through an injury. I mean, dude, his conference O rating is down to 84. That's like Andre Stojakovic freshman year Stanford level bad. Like he's been Casey Ibekwe level bad.
He's been losing us games offensively.
And NC State's got 5 straight wins. They're still shooting 41% from 3 with a top 20 offense, which I can't believe it. I thought it was going to be the defense that really carried them. But yeah, I mean, the last Copeland game, 16 assists, 0 turnovers. Not bad, Bob. Not bad at all. So
took 4 shots at 47 DK.
Both of these teams are super susceptible underneath on the glass. NC State more so because of the way they play defense and how they're always scrambling. It's tough to get bodies on guys when shots go up versus BT is just flat out undergunned underneath. Yeah. So both these front courts set up really well for rebounding spots. All these guys are priced to play. This is a pretty good game environment spot where we could see a fair bit of points, I believe, as well.
Yeah, I think this is a really good game for tournament plays here because no one's, popping at 5x or anything like that. But I'm with you. I really like the interior guys. I think Darian Williams is the best play in the game. Him and Copeland definitely priced to play here. Good matchup. I think Toby Lawal is a really interesting play here under 7K, Gav. He bumped back into the starting lineup, which has kind of been what we've been waiting for, kind of out of necessity with, several games off the injury. We're just kind of looking for something here. I think we could conceivably see Lawal hit 30 to 34 minutes here under 7K. Before the injury, he got up above 8K. The rebounding rate was great. It's not a tough matchup whatsoever. I think he's a guy that I like a bit more than projections. So it's the 2 NC State studs. It's Lawal. I think Lubin's kind of in that same boat where, if he runs hot, he could hit 30 minutes here, soft matchup. So definite interest in the guys up top. You mentioned how bad Abdallah's has been. The projection is good. The usage has been good. Gives me a bit of pause like on a main lineup. But I think if you're playing a bunch of lineups, especially like in the $30, we've seen 40s from him. And, NC State's going to try to drag us to run with him a bit more than we usually want to. And that's more of the game environment that he thrives in, right? Like he's been really awful in the half court. So I'm leaving the light on for Neo here at that price tag. Jalen Bedford, I know you've played a ton, even when he didn't project well. Now he's up over 4X, just playing a bunch of late kind of, with the Tyler Johnson injury and them going to more Hammond and Bedford with Neo not playing well. I just think that there are a lot of good plays in this game. I think Hammond's overpriced now, but it would be the 2 NC State studs, Lawal, and then the VT guards. Any favorites of those? I kind of rambled for a bit there.
Yeah, I mean, Darion is 3rd on the slate in terms of guys who have increased their usage from non-con to conference. So yeah, he's got the increased usage in conference play, and now he's also doing it at 30 minutes a game. We know he can fill up a box score. Amani Hansberry, same thing. Toby Lawal, same thing. The other thing is, like, Lawal is in an elite spot as like a backside cutter. He is elite in that role, and as NC State, swallows up a lot of the Neo ball screens, then this is a really good spot for Toby Lawal to get some really easy buckets on the back end. So, yeah, I think you're going to need all these guys to some extent if you're MME, and I don't have any issue with. I mean, Copeland too. Copeland could 50 again. So I don't have an issue with any of the top guys for a main team, maybe other than Hammond, just because now you're paying for his whatever top 20 national O rating. So.
Yep.
There's kind of really only downside there. So yeah, I'd be really good with any of them. And yeah, you have to mix in Neo to some extent.
Any interest in your guy Bedford? I know that you've been playing him a lot. His price is up a bit here. I do think that of the guys that we've talked about, he has the most risk of the minutes kind of falling out from under him, in favor of shoot or something like that. Any Bedford thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean it's funny because like you would think Duke is a much tougher matchup, and I played him against Duke, but I may not play him against NC State, who surrenders a huge defensive 3-point rate where he's the weak side shooter. Again, another good spot for him. Yeah, I still think he's in play. I mean, he's going to give you good shot volume at 5K. He's basically banked for like 11, 12 field goal attempts a game. The rebounding rates aren't bad for an off-ball guy. So yeah, I'm good with Bedford. But the thing is, can I really click Jaden Bedford for $300 less than than Neo? I mean, I don't know. That's tough.
Yeah, I think this is just a really good game if you're playing more than one lineup. Just get exposure to a bunch of these guys. I think Darian's the best play in the game. Would you agree with that?
I could make a decent case that Hansberry is actually.
Okay. Yeah, so we like all of the studs here. Make sure to get a bunch of exposure.
I just think NC State's usage is just much more generally democratic. Now, I know I mentioned the Darian usage increase, but like there's still somewhat of a guessing game. It could be a lot of Copeland. It could be, like Trey Holloman at 5K or 5.1 or whatever he is probably going to get clicked to an extent.
Yeah.
Matt Abel is like almost free and has seen 20 minutes in spots. Terrence Arsenault crept in for 20 minutes. Like, there's just a lot of people that can take shots on NC State, whereas I generally know between the three guys on VT who's going to be taking most of the shots. That's why I kind of generally feel better about Hansberry plus the rebounding.
True. Okay, cool. Let's go to the next game here. The other ACC team in Virginia. We got Syracuse at UVA. Syracuse 68th at Ken Palm, coming off the hard-fought loss at Carolina where they were down, huge early and came back, lost by 10. Virginia up to 18th at Ken Palm. They've won 3 in a row. They're now 8-2 in conference. Ken Palm's got this 80-67. UVA just completely shut the water off on Pitt on Tuesday night, gave up 47 points here. What do you think about this game, Gav, overall?
Yeah, I mean, UVA is an elite rim defense, and if Pitt can't get to the rim and score at the rim, then they're stone dead. But the thing about that game is, like, Sam Lewis was their minute leader at 27 minutes. So I would almost chuck that game out completely, just rotational wise. Yeah, I mean, they were down by, I can't even remember. I want to say it was like 30 points with 5 minutes left or something, and they got, or 10 minutes it might have been, and they got it within a possession. Like, it was just an epic UNC meltdown. So
yeah, Carolina had to put the starters back in.
Yeah, it was bad. Syracuse is terrible on the defensive glass. UVA obviously elite with their front court size, second in the conference, fourth nationally. Syracuse also running pretty hot from the 3-point line both ways. They're over expectation on the offensive end, and their opponents have been under expectation.
Yep.
And at the same time, all kind of the fortunate shot regression that UVA was owed just got dealt to them tenfold the last 2 weeks. So they're almost getting to a point where the pendulum could swing like this. Also, UVA's got a chance to lay it on them. Syracuse is just bad. Autry is, on the way out. So yeah, it's, there's still a couple plays. Even though we could see a fair amount of points in this game, I think there's okay plays. There's not really any great plays, more kind of, I would say, GPP mix-ins than anything.
Yeah, I was debating just laying the wood with Virginia here, or taking a Syracuse team total under in this spot. I think it's 12 and a half. I'm pulling up the team total here, 67 and a half. I think I'll probably end up on one of those before this game starts. Tune in to Discord. We'll chat a bit afterwards. DFS purposes, I agree. It's kind of tough to get to anyone here on the Syracuse side. Donnie Freeman had the awesome game. This is a much tougher matchup for him, and the price is up. He benefited a bit from foul trouble from White and Suarez. So I don't think that we see like the 37 minutes or whatever he played last game. I think it's kind of tough to get to him here. So no Syracuse for me in this game. I think there's some interesting UVA plays for, just to have in your player pool. I think Grunlow is interesting at 4,700. Jakari White saw a bit of a minutes bump last time up to 20. Is it that they're, going more towards him, or did he play more because of the blowout? That's, there's some kind of uncertainty here. So definitely wouldn't play him on anything close to a main. But, if he does bump back into the 20 to 24 minutes here, add him to the pool of cheap guys that we can play.
Yeah, I mean,
it takes some projection, obviously. Yeah,
it does. I think there's also just generally some squishiness with this Virginia rotation overall. I mean, this is the first time I think in a good while where all the guards have been healthy.
Yep.
And it's just like turned the entire backcourt into a shit show. UVA turned into a total wagon like over the last prior to 2 weeks, the month before that, because they put the ball in Malik Thomas's hands and Chance Mallory was playing a bunch, and that Onienso Grunlow platoon at the 5 is probably the best 2-man rim protection unit in the country. And I think Onienso is going to get clicked in some spots here, like too. I mean, he does have some upside, but is he on the wrong side of the 50-50 split? At
right.
The center spot, I tend to think so. It's just tough. Like all the UVA backcourt guys are just wave to the wind and hope. Just pray. I don't know how to really make sense of any of those. Like I think the one guy that, God, it is disgusting, but I wouldn't mind JJ Starling in this spot against a drop coverage where, like, especially if UVA is going to get up on cues and it's going to be another kind of negative game script for him. Like, JJ Starling is going to quickly go and get his shot on many, many possessions. UVA is going to funnel him into the mid range. He has no problem taking a shot in the mid range. Will he convert them? Is the question. He can go 3 of 16. But it's not like he's incapable of scoring at a 6.1 tag. I don't hate that for GPPs.
Yeah, I would prefer if it was the price tag that we got on him last weekend, which was $5K. But I do get that. No great plays here. I'd probably play some Grunlow if I were MMEing, and might honestly ignore the rest of the game. Mallory's been good enough that his price is up above 6K now. You're just not going to get the minutes into the 30s, even if someone fouls, just because of the depth that they have at all positions here. Any last words on Syracuse, Virginia?
Don't think so.
All right, let's go to Louisville at Wake Forest. Louisville 20th at Ken Pom. Believe we have some news here as well. And Wake Forest is 78th at Ken Pom. Louisville 82-76 is how he's got it. Wake Forest is down Nate Calmese for the foreseeable future. We've seen one game without him, Gav. It was a bit of a strange game with fouls. They got blown out at home by NC State. But they did get the freshman Isaac Carr involved a bit. But let's talk more big picture first. Louisville, Wake Forest.
Yeah, I mean, Wake's 2-7 in the ACC. It's looking rough there too. I mean, 3 of their last 4 were also against SMU, at Duke, and versus NC State. But that 4-game losing streak also includes a loss at Pitt. Ew, gross. Louisville's a team that I generally want to be buying on as Mikael Brown gets further away from his injury, as he gets integrated into the offense. This is still a incredibly prolific scoring unit. There's no way that Mikael Brown is a sub 28% 3-point shooter. I just refuse to believe.
Yeah.
So eventually, like the numbers will come around for him at some point. You don't love on the road, but think about Wake Forest is like they have one of the most compact shell defenses in the conference, maybe the most. So they're gonna allow Louisville to let it fly as much as they want. In this game last year, Louisville shot 36 3-point attempts. So imagine a fair amount of those are going to be coming from Conwell and Brown themselves. And they won by 13. So the thing about Conwell is, God, people played him. I didn't disagree with the play. but this guy in his last 2 games is like 19 points under expectation on shot quality, which that's it. That is a very, very high number. Like 9.5 points per game essentially is, you might see that once in a guy's bad shooting game. Seeing a guy of hit, like he is one of the best scorers in college basketball, and to see him with 19 points owed to him, he's in the kind of a similar spot as Mikal Brown. Like, these guys are gonna nuke a slate with shooting one time. So I'd rather just kind of be early on them. I think they're both squarely in play in the context of the slate too, especially Conwell on the slate without much spend ups versus a slate where we had Boozer, we had Debanza, we had Ajayi on the slate. So I think a little bit different situation too. But yeah, I mean, Wake struggled against NC State. I thought it would have been due to losing your point guard against that high pressure Will Wade defense, but it wasn't. They actually weren't even that bad in that department. NC State just torched the Nets from 3, which they've done in spots like at Auburn. So yeah, it's an interesting spot. Typically, I don't want to fade Louisville in a spot where they're just going to have free reign to shoot as many threes as they want. They've taken some significant money in the market, which tells me people are kind of thinking that Wake is semi-dead. Wake has the worst defense in ACC play. They're the worst defensive rebounding team in the conference. Like, there's just not much. And those are generally two somewhat effort-based, versus like the offensive metrics are more kind of skill-based.
Yeah.
Just playing defense is a lot of effort. Rebounding is all effort. So that signifies to me that they could be dead man walking here very shortly.
Yeah, still pissed that we lost to them on a buzzer beater, one of their 2 ACC wins on the season. Agree with everything you said there, especially on the Louisville side. Don't think I'm going to get involved. It's 9.5 or 10 now. It's a lot of points, but I think we could possibly play some player props here. We'll have to peek at the Conwell and Mikal Brown props. DFS wise, Gav, I agree going back to Conwell here on a slate without a bunch of good spends. I actually think he's a better play today than he was on Tuesday or Wednesday. Going right back to him here. Hopefully people are afraid to because they got burned. This is a really, really good spot for Conwell in tournaments. A good spot for Brown. I believe he fouled in the first half last game too. Mikal Brown did. So some weird stuff going on with the Frew minutes. He played 18 without fouls last game. But we're kind of burying the lead here. We've got injuries on both sides. Let's do the Louisville side first, because I know you're a big Connie Roos fan. He could conceivably start here. It's either going to be him or Woolley. I believe it'll be Woolley. But Roos, man, the rebound rate in conference play has been out of this world. It's not like he's going to play mid-30s minutes, but super productive within his minutes. What do you think about him here?
If you have confirmed news that Hadley is out, yeah, I mean,
Hadley was downgraded from probable to game time decision. So
if I had to guess, chances are he probably misses, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole playing,
we have him out
minutes and just immediately coming out of the game. Like I don't know, that just doesn't bode well, I think, for me. But dude, when I looked at Connie Root's page, he has an 11% offensive rebounding rate and a 28% defensive rebounding rate in conference play. Like, if he was minute qualified, that'd probably be top 10 in both. I mean, just absolutely hoovering this year. He is basically what Pat Kelsey wanted from Keyshawn Pryor, an athletic, long, rangy guy that can swing from the power forward to maybe even the center spot in parts. And speaking of Pryor, he just came off the bench in his last game and played a season high in minutes. So that's also what's sandwiching Sananda Frew's minutes. Like, it wasn't like when they had the mass injuries, 3-4 weeks ago or so, when he had a pathway to 30 minutes when Pryor was still hurt, when there was no Conwell for a game, I think, and Mikal Brown was missing games. So it's just way tougher for Frew now in this spot. Like, there's the sticker shock on Trevon Spillers. Like, he's just getting so cheap, but dude's just been brutally mediocre. No way around it. Like, so he might even be a little overpriced for the rates that he's putting up this year, which are worse than last year. But I think you have to have some interest in these weight guards, right? They're at home. They're getting paced up by Louisville. Louisville's going to play drop coverage. They're not going to be super aggressive and kind of hounding the hell out of you like NC State was. I mean, it is a much different matchup for the weight point guards than it was last game. So I'm good with Ruths. I'm good with both cheap weight point guards. I think Akins will probably start. He has a little bit better peripheral rates than Carr, although both are on – Carr's on a minuscule sample and Akins is on a small one. Good with Conwell, good with Brown. Any interest in 10.4K Juke Harris?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to play the whole game. I think he's got like an awesome floor ceiling combo. We've got a bunch of playable cheap guys. Like, we've mentioned a couple, and we're going to get to a lot more. Not like smash cheap plays, but I mean, Isaac Carr is probably going to play mid-20s minutes on the slate. He's 3,200. He's definitely playable. Fouled a bunch last game. Projection decently. I think you can get up to a double spend on this slate. I think Juke Harris is interesting. He's
Juke Harris took 25 shots last game.
I know.
25.
And now he's playing Louisville at home. The peripherals are good with him too. It's not like he's scoring reliant. I really like Juke Harris in this spot. I think that Colvin's playable too at in the 6K range. So kind of like the VT NC State game. I think there's a lot of good tournament plays in this game. Harris, Conwell, Brown, and Colvin. Any last words here?
I believe, this total's been ticking up too. This could be a sneaky game stack spot too on the slate as well.
Yeah, and if we get Ruth starting, probably a borderline core play.
You got guys at every price point. You have studs in great spots. This is an interesting game stack for sure.
All right, let's go to the Big East. Villanova at Georgetown. Nova 28th at KenPom. Georgetown 83rd at KenPom. Georgetown's won 4 in a row. Like they were 0-6 or 1-6, but fighting every good team to start conference play, and they've now won 4 in a row against not the best teams in the conference, but conference play. KenPom's got this lower scoring Nova 72-67 here. Gav, big news is the availability of Halafanua for Georgetown. I believe that's what you said. He's going to be a game time decision with a back injury. Back injuries with big men, usually pretty tough to gauge. He's missed 2 games, I believe. So that will be a big piece of news for the slate. But what do we think overall, Nova, Georgetown?
You remember the first main DFS note we had when Cooley came over to Georgetown?
About shoving his guards max minutes?
All 5 starters, 30-plus minutes last game. Ed Cooley still playing his dudes. Yep. Gotta love it. I mean, Georgetown, one of their big bugaboos has been not being able to hold on to the ball. And KJ Lewis can be a friggin' schizo. Malik Mack is, spotty at times. But Nova's super passive drop coverage. Georgetown being at home. This is a publicly taxed spot to the moon right here. Georgetown's actually been taking money last couple games. It's wild. They just forced a Creighton team who is like perennially top 5 in not putting teams on the foul line almost every year under McDermott. And Georgetown forced them into a season high free throw rate. It was just incredible to see, but they need that because that's what generally is going to help buoy their offense, because that offense can stagnate in the half court for sure. And Villanova is going to slow this down to a crawl the way Willard plays.
Yep.
So, they're going to need some of that to an extent. I don't love the high price guys in this game that much, but I think there's a couple spots in the mid range that you can definitely go for. Vince, if Vince is going to play 30 minutes, go look at his rates on KenPom. I almost spit my water out when I looked at. I went, what in the hell? I mean, he is putting up like 8K rates right now. So is it sustainable? I mean, the pedigree's great. The guy's just been hurt, heart, knee, this, that. If he can finally string together some games where he's healthy and Halafanua misses, then I really like him at 6.4. I'd rather play him than like a 5.7 Caleb Williams. I think like the upside is just completely different for an Iwachukwu to a Williams.
He's even taken threes in back-to-back games.
I know. Yeah, like Bryce Lindsey is now sub 5K. He just hasn't hit a shot in 2 weeks. He's still got the 20th best shot percentage in the Big East at generally full minutes under 5K. Like,
I will say
totally fine play.
The last 2 games, his minutes have come down a little bit. I assume it's just because he's not hitting shots and they have other options, but I think he's
Hodge lost minutes last game too.
That was high.
Floor stretching ability of Palmer. So
gotcha.
That was definitely a component.
It was Palmer that started that game out real hot too. So earned some extra run. I think I agree with you. I think Lindsey's the best play in the game. Projections agree with that. Iwachukwu, if we get the Halafanua news, is in play. I kind of like him more than projections do. He's being held down by the team total here, I think.
Dude, he is top 10 rebounding both sides of the ball in Big East play while being top 10 in block percentage and top 10 in steal percentage.
Yeah.
And he's 6.4K.
Yeah, I think he's got awesome upside in the mid-range here. Keep an eye on our Discord. We'll be posting starters, news, everything. Sam, I will not say his name 5 times fast. Him or
Iwachukwu.
Yeah, that's the center platoon split is an all-name team, just kind of on its own. Any interest? I don't have any interest in anyone above Iwachukwu here. I assume you're the same.
Yeah.
It's just not the slate for it. Okay, let's go to the next game. We got 3 games left. Last game in the noon Eastern window, Wisconsin at Indiana. Wisconsin 40th at Ken Palm. They had the home win over Ohio State, scored 92 on Ohio State earlier, or I guess that was on Saturday. Indiana 35th at Ken Palm. They've scuffled a bit in conference, back to 6-6. They just lost to your boys at SC.
That's right.
Ken Palm's got this 80-76 though, so different tier of game total than what we just talked about with Villanova. What are we thinking overall here? We do have some news. Wisconsin's going to be without Rapp, and they're getting Rhodey back in this spot. Indiana does have Conaway back on their side.
Yeah, I mean, Indiana returns from the West Coast trip, right? One bad loss to USC, but that was after a double overtime game against UCLA when I think they were without Conaway. That was the game that he missed.
Yep.
So yeah, they were already thin.
We were on UCLA, and they just couldn't miss. Yeah.
Yeah. But I rebet them rebet SC that game. Yeah. And sure enough, when Baker Mazar goes out in the first minute of the second half, I'm going, shit, I'm dead. And USC does it. But I think really interesting spot because both these teams we know have the ability to score. Both have heavily concentrated usage through a couple guys. Both teams, Wisconsin actually a little bit more than Indiana, which is funny to say. But like Wisconsin's going to get up and down the floor. They'll push Indiana. Both teams are going to run pretty passive drop coverage. Both teams have very capable dribble creators. I mentioned Darion was like one of the highest guys in changing usage from non-con to conference. Wilkerson, number 1 on the slate. So, he went from 25.8 to 31.1% usage in conference play. Whew. I mean, that's cooking. So, yeah, we just saw him erupt. I think he's in a super interesting spot because Acuff is going to get played, and the other guy who's going to get played a bunch is Tucker DeVries, and Wilkerson's going to be direct leverage basically off both of those guys. So, DeVries' peripherals have been insane the last couple of weeks. I just can't believe he hasn't hit double-digit points. Like, the ratio of age to points the last 3 games has not been astounding. But, I think Tatum Conaway has no injury designation in this spot. I also think that somewhat hurts DeVries' peripheral upside because, when you put the ball back in your main lead creator point guard's hands, it's going to take it out of DeVries to an extent to facilitate out of like the hub. So I actually think it's an interesting spot to get away from DeVries here, even though home spot 7.3 against Wisconsin, who is going to play drop coverage, and DeVries obviously can shoot. I mean, it is potential burial season. Like we've seen him come out and hit like 4 of his first 5 threes, and if you don't have him, you're just like, well, I don't need to check the app the rest of the day.
Right.
But I can at least make an argument as to why you would want to get away or could get away from a very heavily owned DeVries in this spot.
Yeah, so the minutes we have here were before they removed Connerway from the report, which is why I've got him pretty low. We'll likely update this beforehand for RPS subs. So you'll see the IU projections change a bit here because I think he's going to play more than mid-teens. Do you agree with that with Connerway here?
Yeah, I'd say it probably needs to be like, 28? With like upside to play 30 plus.
Well, the issue is that Dorn's been so good. I think that
the guy hasn't missed in a month.
I know, like it's hard to take Dorn off the court. So I think we could see some squeezing with the minutes here for the IU guards, and I think that could even include DeVries. I think that it's just gonna be tough because it's hard to take Wilkerson off the floor. The 5 spot's going to be a 40-minute split between Bailey and Alexis. And then you've got 3 spots for DeVries, Dorn, Connerway, and Enright, who's also going to play a ton. So I just think that there could be some squeezing. I'm going to take a quick peek after the show. So on paper, DeVries is a great play. I agree. I was kind of thinking that Wilkerson was going to pop a little bit more than this in projections, but I think he's a really good tournament play. I agree with you on that side. Wisconsin side, same deal as we basically had all season with the studs, right? I've basically been playing whoever's the cheapest of the 3. Now they're all the same price. Any lean between the Wisconsin studs? I think when they're the same price, especially without Rap here, I think Winter is interesting. But I don't have a strong lean between the 3.
Winter has the easiest matchup. Boyd has the best usage floor. Blackwell has the highest ceiling, probably.
Okay.
So I think that's the way I would view it. And it doesn't help a ton because Winter's already projected at 36. Do we have Rap projected in this run, or is he already out?
No, I pulled him.
Okay, so that is Winter's projection. Yeah, I mean, this is a good Nolan Winter spot, man. That's a super Charmin soft interior for Indiana, and yeah, they can definitely be had on the glass. This feels like double spot for Nolan Winter.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's Winter or Blackwell for me up top if going to Wisconsin stud. The cheap guys are now in play with the Rap absence. We've got Carrington projecting pretty well. I doubt he starts. I think it's going to be Rhodey. But I think both Carrington and Rhodey are in play. Rhodey's rates aren't great. It was pretty conservative with the minutes here at 22. We've seen him play high 20s in spots, but under 4K, he's in that bin of guys that we were mentioning earlier, Gav, that are good plays down low but aren't smash plays. I think I wouldn't be mad at you if you showed up with Carrington or Rhodey in this spot, or Alexis on the other side at 4-6.
There we go. Now we're talking. I actually would probably, if it my computer might just combust if I click in Braden Carrington and do a main lineup on a Saturday slate. Like it might just literally blow up in front of me. I like Byliskas a little bit better in this spot.
Okay.
He's the one who's going to come in under owned. He's the one who's got, the Rap injury in front of him. He's the one who, has had his 3-point spots. Again, now playing against drop coverage. I think he's going to be the one who's a little bit interesting, especially with Rhodey coming back. Like, I don't know if I buy the Carrington projection or minutes, frankly, but
yeah, it's kind of tough. I think the minutes between these 4 guys here are a bit squishy, right? I think it's going to be a bit hot hand with Carrington, Rhodey, Janicki. We don't know.
Yeah, Janicki could play like 6 minutes here.
Yeah.
And that's what gets everybody to their minute projection.
We don't know the true health of Rhodey. He could play 15. He could play 30. So there's some volatility with the cheaper Wisconsin guys. Alexis, I've got a bunch of interest here. In the games that he hasn't fouled over the last couple of weeks, Gav, is when he's gotten up to like the 26, 28 minutes. We saw that one slate where he was super popular, where he ran pretty good with minutes, where he just crushed and got to 30 plus. I think Alexis is one of the better under 5K tournament plays on the slate. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, he's a pretty good rates guy. So I get it. Wisconsin is tougher walling up at the rim, certainly, than Indiana is. Kind of one of their tenant core foundations of that Greg Gard defense. Let me ask you, can I interest you in Tate Connerway sub 6K?
If he starts, yeah. Like we said, I'm gonna push a minutes update here. So he looks awful right now, obviously at 15 minutes. But if he starts here, I think he's super.
He's a pretty good rate guy for a guard. I mean, he's like over 0.8 fantasy point per minute kind of guy as a guard. At 5'7", you get to 30 minutes and you're basically over 4x right there. Like, so well, I don't know. I think that's pretty interesting. I wonder if people don't play him because of the box score.
Yeah, I mean, the issue for me is going to be what I mentioned earlier, right? Like, with Dorn playing so well, I kind of think that it's going to be tough to get Connerway to project for 28 or 30 minutes here. Just because, like I said before, Wilkerson's going to play most of the game, and now you've got 3 spots for DeVries, Dorn, Connerway, and Enright. Enright's going to play more than you think. So I'll probably come down on him. I'll come down a bit on DeVries. Dorn will be mid-20s, and then I'll give all that to Connerway. So we'll see where that shakes out. Be in Discord for any final updates on that. But I do agree.
I also kind of think that Dorn gives him something that Connerway doesn't in terms of massive shot gravity for Wilkerson and DeVries to have spacing to work underneath to get to the basket. So you're probably right in that even with Connerway back, it's not just like Dorn's going to fall back to whatever 12, 16 minutes like he was previously, if I had to take a guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's earned a role, so that's kind of where I'm at, but definitely some guesswork there. If you have conviction that Connerway steps back into his role before, then this is the cheapest that he's been all season. So all right, let's go to the last 2 games on the slate. It is nice to be able to talk about these games a little more than just racing through each one. We got Mizzou at South Carolina. Mizzou 57th at Ken Pom. They have struggled a bit in conference, 5-4, but they're coming off the home win last Saturday. So a full week off here for Mizzou going to South Carolina. Talking about struggling, they've lost 4 in a row, 7 of 8 here. Ken Pom's got this. South Carolina 75-74. Any thoughts on that? I haven't looked at the current spread here or the game overall in general.
Missouri is 360th and away from home. Not good when you're on the road. South Carolina is also 354th in momentum, which means they're basically about as cheap as a team is going to be on the market. That is technically it's an indication of actual performance of recent games compared to expected performance of recent games, but it also is an indication of how pricey or cheap a team is in the market. So immediately check 1, check 2 towards South Carolina. So if you can find anything redeeming about this team, this is an elite spot to find them in. Problem is I can't find much redeeming about this team. They just flat out suck. I think it's the worst defense in the conference, second worst offense. Michi off a career-high 35 ball against Texas. Ooh, he is the number 1 assist rate in the SEC. Do you know that?
That's wild because who's making the shots when he passes?
That's the first thing I thought of. I said, I don't know who the hell can make a shot on this team he's getting assists to, but the guy's top 20 in shot rate, number 1 SEC assist rate, and he's 13th in minutes played during conference play. Like, he was kind of a guy that ramped it up. And you're going to get a soft zone here against Missouri at home. I don't even mind. He's probably like 600 to 800 priced beyond where I would want him to be to play him, but he's another option kind of right around Acuff, right around Wilkerson that wouldn't be totally surprised if he put up another 25 real. In fact, it's probably a decent alt. I don't know what his props are. It's probably a decent alt spot for Michi here.
I think I I think I prefer betting the prop than playing him in DFS. Like you're playing him straight up over.
That's probably the right call.
You know.
Yeah. Was it RotoWire wrote up Trent Pierce because he played 30 minutes? Well, Sean Phillips rolled his ankle 4 minutes into the second half. So that's why Trent Pierce played all 20 second half minutes. Phillips is practicing full this week. So, I would expect that projection to look kind of similarly to how it did previously.
Yeah. So we're going to come down on the minutes for Pierce here. I'd expect him to be more mid-20s than 30.
Elijah Strong is the highest shot rate in the SEC. And he's going to be a guy that can play in the middle of the Missouri zone. So, I mean, it is an elite spot for him. He obviously we've seen 40 fantasy point ceiling at like low 5Ks, but we've also seen him play 11 minutes and I think get negative one game. So, that is about as GPP as it gets. The minute range is anywhere from like 12 to 28 minutes. Have to sprinkle him in like an MME stuff. A little bit tougher click for a main for sure. Given there's way more safety around like the 5K range that we've talked about. Eli Ellis in the mid 4Ks, getting high 20s minutes at home against the zone as a guy who's 37.5% 3-point shooter in SEC play. Probably do a little bit worse than that. So I think there's kind of a couple spots. I mean, T.O. Barrett's been so good, but damn, that price has gone up. Now he's going to get slowed down on the road. He can still make that tag, but it's just a little bit tougher at that price. And then I'm just not a Mark Mitchell clicker. I'll let other people click Mitchell.
What about the projection here on Jaden Stone at 7K? I feel like he projects well every slate. I never really get to him.
He does. I think I played him last time when he was just as worthless as tits on a nun. So yes, I'm not thrilled with him, but he is going to project well. He's going to play good minutes. He's going to have a good shot rate. He's going to need the peripherals. Poor game environment, elite 7K range. So, yeah, I don't know. Not for me on this slate.
Man, what has happened to Anthony Robinson? We've got Anthony Robinson priced at 4,300 here, Gav. He's fouled in 2 of the last 3 games. Didn't really
it's
play.
It's called getting Dennis Gates.
Yeah, I mean, he's lost his starting job. He's going to transfer.
Theo Barrett's also been damn good too. Like I can't even hate it.
Yeah. I'm going to take another look at the minutes here for Pierce. He did make his first start last game, so I'm not going to come down crazy on them. I'll probably be 26-ish, because he did – I think he's a strong play. He's under 5K. It's not like you're reaching for a guy in the mid-6s who we could be hot on. So I'm going to take another look at that. I do think that he is the best play. These just are 2 teams that I haven't played that much of the entire season. Studi's not in play now with Ellis back. I think Ellis is the best play besides Michi on the South Carolina side. Any last words on this one here before we go to the last game?
Don't think so. Nothing more to add.
All right, we got Oregon at Purdue. Oregon 106 at KenPom. They have lost 8 in a row, 1-10 in conference, circling the drain. Injuries have really ruined their season. Purdue 8th at KenPom. They bounced back and just ass-pounded Maryland by 30 on the road after the 3 straight losses against UCLA, Illinois, and Indiana. KenPom has got this game 82-64, so a bit of blowout risk here. But the big news is that Biddle is off the injury report. We can talk about that a bit here as well. But Oregon, Purdue thoughts, Gav, go
ahead. Yeah, the wheels are so fully off the bus on Oregon. I mean, without Biddle and Shellstad, that is the worst Power 5 team in the country. And I don't even know if it's particularly close, honestly, when at least you have Kwame Evans, but he's not like really an alpha guy. And TK Simpkins as your best player, the team is just a abject disaster, but that's what happens when you're that top heavy. If Texas Tech lost JT Toppin and Christian Anderson, Connor Wake out.
Yeah, he's in street clothes. We can touch on that at the very end.
Okay. But yeah, Oregon has had to resort to basically walking the ball up the floor and falling back into a zone because they have like no real talent around defensive ability, like to go play the way that Altman wants to play. So you basically have to like you're playing like you're coaching a third grade basketball team, and you just have to run zone because the kids can't comprehend staying attached to a man, watching the ball at the same time. So you're just like, yeah, just run zone. Like that's basically what Oregon has turned into.
Yeah.
And like Purdue obviously can incredibly death smash a zone, whether you want it to be via Braden and Lawyer on the arc, whether you want it to be with TKR and Clough on the interior. Pick your poison, whether you want it to be them, Purdue on the offensive glass with their size. Like it's just not going to go well. Purdue just absolutely woodshedded another shorthanded team in Maryland in College Park by 30. And now they're back at Mackey against a worse team. Well, I guess maybe not if Biddle's back, but Brandon Fletcher played 27 minutes in that game in a blowout script, which I think very well could happen in this spot. Like, so I just have worries with like how many minutes is Braden going to get compared to, I don't really have any doubt that a Wilkerson's going to play full minutes and Acuff's going to play full minutes. So it's not that I think that they're better than Braden Smith. I think Braden Smith's the best point guard in the country, but just in the context of this slate, like with this blow up, I think Purdue is going to blast Oregon right here. Like exercise some Demons games like they had against Maryland. So I think there is some potential, which I'm worried about for the top Purdue guys.
Yeah. So I have this. So I basically did the minutes based on the spread. The spread's under 20, which in conference play usually means close to full minutes. If you think it blows out, which it totally could here, then Braden would be more 32, 33, and he's not going to project well. So I think it's a great point. I have the same concerns here. But if it stays around the spread, we should see full minutes from these guys. Kaufman-Wren was out to a red-hot start against Maryland, sat the last, 8 or so minutes of that game. So I think he's a good play again in the mid-6K range. You're just not going to see the 30-plus minutes because they do want to play Jack Benner. Clough had a poor game, but he just wasn't needed because Fletcher Lawyer had, 28 or 30 real points, something like that.
I don't want to talk about it. He had literally 1 billion points.
I had him, so it was fine with me. I think it's a decent bounce-back spot here for Clough in tournaments. His price is down because it's just been the other guys getting it done. I don't want any Oregon guys here. I guess if you're holding Smith and you're down and you see Biddle starting, I think that could be all right as like a pivot. But I was pretty conservative here with Biddle coming off the multi-week injury and what could be a blowout. So that would be the only way that I would get to Biddle would be a swap option. But there's only 2 games in this window, so there aren't really that many options. Jordan Majeski said that Takai Simpkins is battling through an injury too. So like this is
what's his injury? Being absolutely fucking terrible at basketball?
Yeah. So it's just bad news for Oregon. Like they're starting Desdrick Lindsey now. Jamari Phillips.
Devin Pryor's out for the year. Yeah. Eggy Demir's out for the year. It's probably the most injured P5 team that we'll see on a slate.
Yeah. I might lay the 18.5 with Purdue, Gavin.
I bet it last night. I bet Purdue against Maryland, and I'm betting them again here.
Yeah. All right. Before we get out of here, let's talk real quick about Indiana, and then we do have a UFC show that's starting up right when we get off with JSU. So make sure to check that out if you're watching the UFC card later over these games. So pulling Connorway, we'll actually have a really good idea of what the minutes are because we've just seen it. But that's going to make DeVries and Wilkerson really good plays here. Got to think, right?
Yeah. Now what is the difference between Acuff and Wilkerson? Almost nothing. And I bet Acuff is going to be 2.5 to 3x more owned.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a good pivot off of DeVries. DeVries is going to project well. Dorn's going to be your tournament play. I still think that Alexis is a good play. His minutes won't move. So
the answer to your next question is yes. You can play Lamar Wilkerson and Tucker DeVries in the same lineup.
Yep. I was going to ask that. So, all right, that is the entire slate. You want to give some last thoughts? We didn't talk that much about bets. I think most of my bets are later in the day. So
the later games are much better. And then obviously, I'm betting a shit ton of the West Coast games, so those are all later. But
so let's only give out a couple because we want the subscribers to have most of the bets here. I'll give away a couple. I took Marquette -2. I like Creighton here at home against Seton Hall, and I like Colorado later. So those will be my three: Marquette, Creighton, and Colorado.
Marquette, okay. Well, you know where I'm going with some of these games.
Well, I left you Auburn.
Well, yeah, okay, I guess, yeah, okay. So I'll do one Auburn, and then I'll do Loyola Marymount -5 at home against San Diego. JBC's computer is going to hate that play. I can almost guarantee you he flips over San Diego +5. I can almost bet my net worth on it. It's a really good LMU spot. So I'll do that, and I will do. I have to bet the premier Big West game. So all right, I'll do UC Irvine at pick against UC Santa Barbara. Russell Turner has owned Joe Pasternak in this recent matchup. UCSB has been a piss missile since Mira Little came back and has kind of been the team that I bet on Santa Barbara a bunch at the beginning part of the year. Wasn't that great. Little got hurt. It went bad. Now they're looking kind of like the team we thought, but just historical matchup edge going with got to go with the two small West Coast schools. Duh.
Nice. And I'll give away our top premium from JBC, Mizzou -2.5, which is kind of what we talked about earlier with that dead Scar team. So that'll be kind of terrifying, but we will go with that. Any last just overall arching thoughts on the slate? I think it's an interesting slate to kind of get different up top, like you mentioned with Wilkerson. I think the Wisconsin studs are interesting. And then if you're playing a bunch of lineups, I really like plays from that VT NC State game for like the $30 Q.
Usually I tend to subscribe by use your high salary or your spend ups. Typically I want to have them be forwards just because the double forwards with those guys is just so much higher than some of these guards that are a little more scoring reliant. This is an elite spend up guard slate. I mean, you got plenty of budget guys to use. I mean, and you can make good arguments for really hairy punt plays that make sense in this spot. So I was thinking kind of balanced, like coming into the show, but the way kind of news is broken, it could look a little more studs and duds for me.
Yep. All right. Get in the Discord if you're not already. If you're not a member with us, go to runpuresports.com, go over to the college basketball and get in for the stretch run. We got 2 months left of the season. I think probably exactly because the Final Four will be about this time in 2 months. So go ahead and join us. We'll be posting lineups, news, our bets. Gavin will be firing a bunch of live bets. I'm sure we'll have prop bets. Saturdays are awesome in that Discord. It'll be flying all day. So good luck on the main slate. Good luck in the $30 Q if you're in there. Hopefully one of you guys take it down. Gavin, congrats on the seat this week in the bracket mania. So we both have a seat. Congrats to my guy.
Now I just need to rattle off 2 more in the next week, like I did a couple years ago.
Yeah, it was 3 between shows, right?
Yeah.
Congrats to my guy Chris Carlton, who got one on Thursday as well. So for Gav, I'm Steve. We'll see you guys next week.